So this is a question that most evangelicals and Baptists are not able to answer whatsoever. So the Bible tells us in Deuteronomy 22:5 that the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. That verse is crystal clear. Basically, that there's an article of clothing that is only for women, that men are not allowed to wear. And there's an article of clothing that is for men only, that women are not allowed to wear. That's what that verse is saying. And obviously it's condemning it as something that's sinful. Now, here's what's funny about this, is because, many, Baptist churches out there, evangelicals, they're all okay with women wearing pants and they have no issue with that. But here's what I will say. Here's the question that virtually none of them are going to be able to answer whatsoever. Because anyone that has at least some inkling of being a conservative Christian, all of them are going to tell you that, oh yeah, if a man puts on a dress or if a man puts on a skirt, that's obviously not okay. And they're going to condemn that because obviously it's gross and perverted. And that goes without saying. And rightfully so. They should be condemning that. And so they already understand that part of the verse where it says, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. They understand that if a man puts on a skirt or a dress, that's obviously not okay. That's obviously something that God is condemning. But let's think about the flip side of that verse. Because what the Bible teaches is that pants would be the men's clothing that women are not allowed to wear. The Bible talks about gird up thy loins like a man in the book of Job, implying that, you gird up the loins if it's pants. If it's a dress, that wouldn't really make sense. So men are expected to gird up their loins, implying that they're wearing pants and that's something that's for them. The Levitical priests that are men, they're also required to wear linen breeches, meaning the same thing as pants, that go down all the way to their thighs, that cover their entire thigh. We also see men in the Bible like Eglon, like King Saul, that basically, they cover their feet because they let their pants drop all the way down as they're using the restroom, whereas if they were using a skirt or a dress, they would just have to lift it up, right? They wouldn't have to literally cover their feet as they're using the bathroom, right? So we see all these verses indicating very clearly that God expects or basically views men as wearing pants because that's the clothing that they wear, right? All the men in the Bible, when it's describing what that specific garment is that they're wearing, when it's between a skirt and a pants, it's always pants. That's what the Bible is teaching. That's what the Bible teaches consistently and shows consistently in the Bible itself. The Bible tells us to gird up thy loins like a man, and we also see another man in the Bible girding up his loins, which is Gehazi in the book of 2 Kings, right? Consistently, it's only men doing that. And so there's a biblical basis for saying that, yeah, this is the clothing that men are expected to wear that women are not allowed to wear. Now, they might say, like, oh, that's not true, that's arbitrary, whatever. That just isn't the case. Okay. If you want to say that pants is not the clothing in mind that Deuteronomy 22:5 is condemning for women, then my question for you is this. If it's not pants, then what is it? You can't just simply say, like, oh, well, if you go to a department store, it's going to tell you, okay, here's the men's clothing, here's the women's. That's completely irrelevant. That begs the question, right? That's circular reasoning. Just simply telling me that a store labels something as men's clothing versus women's clothing, that doesn't tell me anything. That doesn't tell me what it is. What exactly is men's clothing? What does that mean? What specific article of clothing is only for men that women are not allowed to wear? What is it? Because if it's not pants, then what is it? You have to answer that question, and there never is a consistent answer that they give. It's not consistent. It's not something that they can just all unanimously agree with because they're just wrong on the issue, right? Basically, from their perspective, what they essentially believe is that women can wear whatever clothing they want, and it's not cross-dressing. And only men are able to cross-dress if they put on like a skirt or a dress. But Deuteronomy 22:5 is very clear. Both men and women are able to cross-dress. There's clothing for both men and women that is prohibited for them. And the only biblical precedent for that would just be saying, look, obviously for a dress and a skirt, that's going to be for women, and pants are going to be for men. Really simple, really easy. There's Bible verses to back that up. But the question is, okay, well, if it's not pants that's for men, then the question is, what is it then at that point? What is the men's clothing that Deuteronomy 22:5 is prohibiting for women? What is it? That is the question that they have to answer.